I'm Jim, and this is Joelle and Dave Sage. I worked with them on getting their home in Bothell sold in 2010 and finding them a home for their family later in the year. We're going to talk about those experiences here. Shall we start with what it was like to get your home in Bothell sold, first meeting, and then what that experience was like?
Sure. Our home in Bothell was our first home. It was our starter home. It was the first home that we had bought together and had our 3 kids in, so there's definitely an emotional tie there. Jim had been recommended to us by a good friend and somebody who I worked with who I respected a great deal, and met with Jim for the first time and just had a great feeling about the whole selling part of the house. Even though it was, we knew that it was going to be emotional, Jim also recognized that and was able to come in with a great deal of knowledge about the market and about selling a home and everything it took to get ready to sell a home. And even though we weren't completely ready at first, Jim provided us with the background knowledge and the information and put us at ease. And at one point said, we're gonna sell your house if that's what you want to do, and that's what we really wanted to do. And he took us through that process, and we were successful in selling our first home very quickly, which was very important with the 3 kids and having them around the house and not having to stage the house continually and having it go on for months and months. It was important to us to get our house sold, and Jim did that for us.
You had mentioned earlier experiences when we talked before.
Yes, I think, Jim just was able to help us. He brought in a stager for us to kind of help. It was a small house with 3 kids. Kind of help us set up the house to make it look appealing for other families, and kind of the toy clutter and everything that went along with having 3 young kids and trying to sell a house.
When it got time to start looking, let's talk about that.
Yeah, to start looking for a home. We had sold our house very quickly, and so we moved in with family, and so when it was time to start looking, we kind of had an idea about what we wanted, but we were kind of all over the map, and Jim just asked us a lot of questions, had us reflect a lot on what we wanted and what would be best for us and our family. Asked us questions separately so that we could understand each other as a couple because of the huge decision it is. Our first experience that didn't involve Jim when we bought our first home in Bothell was not a great experience. We felt pressured. We made a quick decision. We had kind of some speculation all the way along, and unfortunately, at the closing time of our first house in Bothell, it wasn't a good experience. And so this time was just a completely different experience. Jim was very patient. Again, had us focus on each other, had us reflect on what was going to be best for us, and we knew right from the beginning that he was going to be patient. He had our best interest in mind, and was going to be with us throughout the whole process.
I think he really took the time to get to know us as well, and what we wanted, and what would kind of be a good fit for our family and ourselves.
We looked at some things that you didn't like, that you didn't know you were going to not like until after you looked at them, but we had to kind of narrow the area down and narrow the type of home down that would work for you. Maybe talk a little bit about choosing an area. At one point I would even consider possibly building it too.
We have, I think we went from a 20-mile range that we, maybe 30-40-mile range that we looked at. We went from all different price ranges, really trying to just narrow the house down. I recall we went to a coffee store with him giving us each a piece of paper with a quiz on it, and filling out this quiz that had all these questions that what was the most important to us, and we did it individually.
That's very nice.
So that we weren't, I had to answer mine and Dave had to answer his, and then he brought us together and we're able to kind of narrow down what was priorities for us, and walking through many different homes gave us a lot of different insight on what worked.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of different floor plans, we looked at different areas. Something that was important to us was the sunlight. And that's where we kind of came back to, the sunlight, and there was one home that we really liked, but Jim had some reservations about it and pointed out some things, and just said let's look at more. We looked at a lot of different floor plans, we looked at different areas. My commute to work was important for us, and we looked at a home that was going to meet our needs for a nice floor plan and a huge yard, and in a fenced community, and it was going to be great. Jim went out the next day, took pictures of the whole area, took pictures of what the recreational area was going to be like around there. He actually called the builder, and he suggested that we drive it after work one day. And so we had the family meet me at school, and we drove, and it was just going to be too far, and I was going to be too tired. But Jim took the time to go through all of that, knowing that that probably wasn't the house that we were going to pick, and helped us rule those things out in order to find the home that we did want.
And I enjoyed doing it, by the way. I do remember that house, and I remember that set of circumstances in the progression, so that was good. You had talked about a patient demeanor versus a business demeanor.
I'd say just the patient demeanor of going out and saying, okay, we're gonna look at 4 houses today. And we said, well, we found another 2 or 3, around that same area, and it didn't matter if it took another 2, 3, 4 hours. We ended up going and, spending the entire day looking at houses rather than, I never felt rushed walking through a house. Going back and walking through houses again.
Yeah, and even when they weren't homes, even when we drove up to a home and we knew once we got there that, yeah, this probably wasn't it, Jim took the time to walk through the home and let us get to know the floor plan, even though that wasn't we were just being educated along the whole way, and just Jim's patience in taking us to 6, 9 homes a day. When we finally found, what we were looking for, though, and what we wanted, Jim came out to the home with Joelle, actually, and I received a text message from Joelle. I had looked on it on the internet and thought, I don't know if she's going to like the internet, or if she's going to like the floor plan or not. But I received a text message. I was in a meeting, and it said, "Can you come look at this house now?" And I thought, wow, this must be a great house. And came out and really liked it. Jim came back that night, allowed family to come through, sat with us, talked to our family, answered questions that our family was asking, and then we started to go through the process, and there was a glitch where the homeowners felt like they weren't ready to sell. The home had only been on the market for less than a week, but we knew at that point what we wanted, and when it came on, we knew that we wanted that house. And they were just surprised and thought maybe that was priced too low, and they were really backtracking. And we saw Jim's patient demeanor with us shift into, okay, now he's our real estate agent, and he's really going to work for us. And he is, not that he hadn't been working for us the whole time, but really saw the business side of Jim, and saw the patient demeanor turn into, no, we're going to get you this house. You want this house? We're going to get you this house. They put the house on the market, they're going to sell the house. And that was really comforting at a time when we thought, we finally found the house that we wanted. My wife really likes the house. It's got everything we want, it's in a great location, and now they're talking about backing out. But Jim kept a positive attitude, was very business-like, and kept us up to date on where we were, and was honest with us the whole way. Even when we thought that maybe it might not work out, he was honest with us through the transaction.
That was the time when I got the most nervous, is when there was that one night where I thought they really might back out, but we stayed with it, we got it done. You were gonna say something, Joelle?
Oh, I think throughout the whole process, just very, very professional the whole time
Thanks.
as well.
Yeah. And I think having a rough experience when we bought our first house without Jim, some of those thoughts came back in my mind, like, oh no, we're headed down this path again, but completely different experience when we got into a sticky situation with Jim and working for us.
And the knowledge you had and experience.
Thanks.